I'm Brian. I write for the Nifty News. This is Ian.
Hey guys, so my name's Ian. By day, I work at John Hancock on some decentralized insurance protocols on Ethereum. On the side, I do a lot of work with NFTs, which kind of brings me here today. Yeah.
So today we're going to talk about NFT derivatives in the context of badges and social capital using NFTs. Our goal for this 10-minute talk is to kind of change your perspective on how you view NFTs originally. So when we look at NFTs at face value, we kind of see them for what they are. Crypto kitties, game items, art, crypto tickets, licenses. But that's not really what the secondary use cases are in some cases, and what actually makes them valuable. So hopefully we can cover some things, and I think Ian has some ideas on what else they can be used for.
Yeah, so me and Brian have been going back and forth about this for a good amount of time now. And like he said, I think it's important to start thinking about NFTs in other ways outside of some of the things he just mentioned, because they really are useful in more ways than kind of we're thinking about now. Specifically, stuff that we've been interested in is the use of NFTs almost like badges or trophies or just general representations of actions or accomplishments you've made within a network.
Yeah,
Right.
so some examples of that is like voting on governance, right? So there's really no incentives to vote on any government proposals or governance proposals like 0x or Augur. So if you're awarded a NFT representing that you voted on this proposal, then maybe some third-party developer can see that you voted on it and want to incentivize you more to do other things.
Yeah, and there are projects working on this kind of stuff now, and you can actually go start using them and see them. So just these ideas that Gitcoin presents with like the kudos concept. So if you're committing a certain amount of code, you get represented with an actual asset or a digital good. There's projects working on NFTs that are minted when you donate to charity. That's another one. But there's a bunch of these, and you can kind of imagine different NFTs being minted and distributed based on your actions on a protocol. So like right now, if you go vote with ZRX on the ZEIP 23, which is like bundles of assets on the ZRX exchange protocol, you'll get an NFT and you'll get like a prize for doing this. ETH Denver did it at their hackathon. You'll probably see that at other hackathons where so if you win something or you participate in a network, you're actually being rewarded with an asset. And you can kind of think of this as the beginning of like a digital resume or a digital trophy case that other people can look into permissionlessly and see the things that you've done, which is pretty interesting.
Right. So when you have this kind of trophy case representing that you've done all these actions, kind of badges, accomplishments, you can start to quantify the lifetime value of a certain wallet address. So if this user has voted on this proposal, has created a DAO, and they've received accomplishments or NFTs for that, then developers can start incentivizing those wallet addresses to do certain things. This is when you kind of get into like back from NFT to like the crypto ecosystem and kind of how it overlaps a bit. I think that they're kind of one and the same thing. A lot of people see them as two separate things. But now this kind of layer 2 of NFTs where the accomplishments and NFTs of your first original actions kind of make that original NFT more valuable in certain ways. And we kind of create this canonical representation of these token IDs in different ways.
Yeah, exactly. So, and we talk about this all the time, right? The use of these things is that you can earn an NFT or buy one, or you get an NFT in one silo, but then you can transfer it and use it in another silo. So I think it becomes more powerful when we start thinking about the interactions and the bundles of actions we can take with collections of NFTs. So you can start to actually get pretty creative with it and think of some interesting use cases. So for example, like a good decentralized curriculum program where you can earn specific tokens based on coding challenges you complete or certain pull requests you make on like an open source repo, and then being able to exchange that on some platform for like a degree badge or something. And then, or maybe some actions you take earn you NFT that's a claim to a ticket or a claim to some real world asset.
On a more simpler level, I think we can use like the balance of function on ERC 721 to have a claim to say a CryptoKitty, an Axie, and say a God's Unchained card, right? And if we collect all those items like in our curriculum, then we get some NFT or some other crypto prize for completing those actions, right? But then we kind of take that on a step further and we say, okay, we've obtained these CryptoKitties, this Axie, and this God's Unchained card, but now we've also voted on governance proposals as well. So now you can have the syllabus of we can guide a user through like a user journey across a different protocol to reward them in different ways.
Exactly. Yeah. So in a simple way of thinking about it, these things can be used really to start understanding, the actions people are taking across these networks, and it's a permissionless way to really understand who is doing what type of work within each of them. And the good news is that the infrastructure is essentially there, and it just requires some middleware to make these things possible. So like something me and Brian are working on that we think is interesting is just some simple platform where you can bundle assets and then exchange them for a prize, right? And it's a simple idea, and the middleware is not hard to create. But it's just simple things like that where you can kind of unlock a lot of value. And this perspective switch that we're trying to demonstrate here is that yes, a CryptoKitty is a CryptoKitty, but when you combine it, say, with a Kudos coin or some other stuff that you get from contributing to open source, you can bundle those things and receive a separate reward, right? So it's just the idea that these things don't exist within silos. They can, be used and exchanged in bundles, and they can be used for things, signaling and all other types of things that exist more than just the original world that NFT came from.
So now we should talk about the weird question with social capital. So what happens when you kind of earn an NFT for, say, contributing to a GitHub repo, and now you're incentivized, and then you're able to do certain permissions on other developer networks? What happens now if that NFT that's giving you access is now tradable? Because that's essentially your reputation in that case.
Exactly. Yeah. So a simple way to think about it is, let's say theoretically down the line we have a decentralized curriculum where you complete achievements and you earn a degree, right? So this is like an NFT that I did all these things. If that NFT is tradable, you automatically think we don't want people to see these things on an open market and be able to just purchase a degree without doing the work, right? So it presents the question, should these things be transferable? And what kind of work has to be done around that to ensure that these things still, exist in a way that's actually valuable? And there's different stances you can take on that. Personally, I believe they definitely should be transferable because say you've done the work to earn an asset, but you're not interested in whatever access you get from, that prize. You can sell it on an open market and you're still incentivized to do the work. You can also check on-chain data and be able to verify who was the original recipient of a prize or something, right? So with additional work, we can still, project authenticity to like who is the owner who actually did the work, but you can also sell these things for like some monetary gain if you're just bored.
Yeah, and I would probably take the opposite stance on this, and Ian and I go back and forth on this a lot. I would say it's non-transferable in the case that reputation shouldn't be transferable in the first case. That's your right to that specific asset, and you have access to it. And once someone transfers that asset no longer becomes valuable to the party who has created the requirements for that action to be completed.
Yeah, and that makes a lot of sense, right? So I think that kind of begs the question, how do we define standards for these things? Obviously, if they're all ERC 721s, there's still a difference between something that is a ticket and a trophy or a badge, right? Like obviously, like you might want to just sell your tickets because you're no longer interested in something, or like an access code. But if it's a badge or a representation of actions or skills that you've demonstrated, you might not want to transfer that. So it's kind of like as we build out these platforms, we want to keep that in mind and just make sure that we're all on the same page so that it's still useful and that there's no doubt when you're looking at someone's trophy case or you're looking at a ticket on a marketplace, like, is this legitimate and are we signaling the wrong things, or are we doing it in a way that's like actually beneficial?
Yeah, so I hope we change your perspective on the way you view NFTs, and hopefully we can kind of create this badge protocol to kind of create this new standard for these identities, standard social capital NFTs.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're interested in this kind of idea of badges or questing or bundles being traded for prizes, come talk to us because we have a bunch of thoughts on that.
All right, thank you guys.
Thanks, guys.